Jasper Philipsen bullying another rider trying to get in the breakaway. It all kicked off on what should have been a sleepy stage today. Stage 18 of the Tour de France. We've had about 6 GC days consecutively. Time for a rest, and this was the first sprint stage, or possible one for a while. A couple of lumps and bumps along the way, but largely flat, and so Jonas Vingegaard and the other GC riders could have a bit of a rest. But from the gun, this is why I watch. You're probably not watching. Break formation from the gun. Look who wants to be in it. Quickstep with Asgreen, Abrahamsen for Uno-X. And you can also see Alpecin and DSM a little bit interested in who is getting in that break. They let that move go. EF tried to bridge, maybe caught, and he's stopped by DSM. And Campenaerts gets across too. So 2 teams who lost their sprinter. Jakobsen on Quickstep, Ewan on Lotto Destiny, try something different. Get their rider in a breakaway. Uno-X too, trying to get a rider in the breakaway instead of putting it all on Christoph. A lot of teams like DSM not really adjusting despite Philipsen cleaning everybody up, and you see who wants a sprint because they're spread out blocking the road. Alpecin, unsurprisingly, and Jaco Lula for Groenewegen, Trek for Pedersen, and Benoit Cosnefroid is there just because maybe he should have got the breakaway. So yeah, Jaco start controlling, DSM start controlling. Everybody's obviously gotten through the Alps because they have the appetite to get absolutely whacked by Philipsen in the sprint again rather than putting a rider in the breakaway. But Pogačar looking in good spirits, talking to his countryman Mohoric, and Campenaerts extends this gap out to 50 seconds or a minute because, yeah, super strong guys in the breakaway, even though it's 3, they're all, big trucks. And so this first climb is where all the action kicked off. It was time for teams to put them under pressure, the sprinters teams, and it's Lotto Destiny with Encorn initially trying to bridge their own breakaway. What Hermans is doing here is totally legitimate. He is allowed to sit on Encorn. If Encorn wants to tow him all the way to his own teammate's breakaway, that's fine. Herman's doing a perfectly fine thing here with Jaco chasing behind, just sitting on, nullifying the move, and that's what Alpecin initially do. Then Terzius goes, and Craddock shuts it down for Jaco. Again, totally fine. Breakaway's down to 36 seconds. It's lost a fair amount of time, half a minute. Then Pacher goes, and here's where it all kicks off. See, Alpecin are blocking across the road here, same with DSM. And initially there was space on the right of, I think, Søren Kragh, but because they're trying to block right, what they do is these riders swing left to right. You see how he's got such a gap to Philipsen? Pro riders can ride a little bit closer than that. And Encorn shoots that gap, but Søren Kragh moved across, and then he ducks back in. And so, he has ducked back in, he has used the grass, and Søren Kragh, I think it is, has to take evasive action. And is that why Philipsen jumps out and is angry? Because he shoots out of the peloton, talking to Encorn right now, telling him, I'm going to mark you, the green jersey. He's already won 4 stages, by the way. And then he jumps up and makes matters worse, and he tries to close Encorn off to the grass on the left-hand side, and then just like half of his sprints in the Tour, he deviates to the other side of the road, and because the camera angle shots, he should have been sanctioned for this, because you see the dashed line. Encorn tries to go the other way around him, and Philipsen pushes him all the way the other way of that dashed line on the other side. So complete bullying from Philipsen, or trying to be a bully. Pretty pathetic, to be honest. It's a shame once again he wasn't sanctioned, and after winning 4 stages, if you can't control a breakaway of 3 with your team being helped by other teams, then you might want to look internally at yourself and your team and their limitations, which were on offer because, Bahrain and FDJ suddenly smelt weakness from the other teams, and Total were trying to go Vermeersch. This isn't Encorn. He tries to counter DSM, bring that back, and the break is just chugging away still with the 3 guys ahead, probably unaware of what's going on behind. But Encorn, not to be denied, goes again, this time catching Alpecin by surprise, and they can't bring him back this time, and the gap's only 22 seconds, and now Lotto Destiny take a really big gamble, and even Campenaerts at this moment was probably thinking this is a huge risk. He drops himself out of the breakaway to go and pull Encorn across to Asgreen and Abrahamsen, and this could have backfired badly. If they dropped themselves out the break and got caught by the peloton, which is only 11 seconds behind Encorn, they would have been clowned mercilessly, but it worked. And so good on them for trying something different. They get across the break now with 2 riders. The breakaway is now 4, and it's the same gap, and Alpecin and DSM and Jaco still are chasing. The aero man in the praying mantis position, Victor Campenaerts. But now Trek have joined the fray, so more teams are helping. Bora Hansgrohe with Conrad move to the front. Didn't want to put Niels Pollard in the breakaway. Why not chase for Jasper Philipsen to potentially get his 5th victory? And he's on the radio marshalling the troops. They don't want to burn their lead out, though. That's the last thing these teams want to do, is burn your lead out, your last 2 men, chasing these guys up front. But if you don't use them and the gap's not coming down at all and the riders are running out of steam at the front, you see Quickstep have now gone to the front with, I think, de Klerk and Alaphilippe to disrupt proceedings. You might not catch the breakaway. And Dillier, that's the last we see of him, and Conrad's kind of spent at this point, same with Craddock. So the gap wasn't moving, and one by one, riders like Durbridge drop from that group, or Dillier or Hermans are no longer able to pull, or Søren Kragh or Conrad, and you're basically left with a very tired Skjelmoser who's, 65 kilograms chasing, whilst he looks to Alaphilippe to his left-hand side, second wheel, who moves up to kind of take it slow and demoralise Skjelmoser. And he was on the radio, Alaphilippe, probably saying to Azren, they're running out of numbers, Campenaerts did a magnificent job the whole break. Abrahamsen, Campenaerts, Encore and Asgreen did a magnificent job, always just rolling through, working well together. They had to, because the chase, now Niels Pollard got involved and he ripped that gap down to 11 seconds. But look behind him. Dylan van Baarle, who's in keep Jonas Vingegaard's safe duty, and Alpecin de Koenig have 2 additional riders, but it's Rickaert and Van der Poel. They don't want to spend their lead out chasing down this breakaway, and that's why I've been wondering or hoping that a strong break of rouleurs would go all Tour de France on a sprint stage, because they were very, very difficult to bring back, and now with the moto tow giving them a little bit extra with no moto close to peloton, suddenly it looked like they wouldn't be caught. 5 seconds, the starter move Case Ball up, but Campenaerts, he is one of the peloton, one of the most exciting ways a sprint stage can end, and jubilation for Quickstep, who've had a difficult Tour de France to date. Asgreen winning the stage, as I said, ahead of Encorn, Abrahamsen. Philipsen won the sprint behind, easily ahead of Pedersen, Bolt.